That's it, we've got 10 minutes.
Oh, will I?
Yes,
I
10
thought
minutes.
they named
According to my agenda, and you finish early, I'll open up the question.
Perfect.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
Kia ora, everybody. My name is Kirsten White. I'm the chairperson of Aspiring Athletics Club. Thanks for allowing us to talk today. We're talking about the opportunity to apply for the community fund, and the reason for us is fairly essential. So we are a not-for-profit organisation run entirely by volunteers. We have children from the age of 6 to 14, and then we also have our sort of younger adults and then into our older adults. And we provide athletics coaching for the children here. So the reason we're applying for the community fund is the cost of hiring the grounds at 3 parks now exceeds our operating budget. So we need some financial support. I think to provide some context, there's no other children's athletics club in Otago who pay the fees that we pay. Some clubs have let me know that they have free access to quite highly maintained good grounds. Some pay between $200 to $500 a season, which is sort of the norm. And by contrast, we're paying $4,500 per year, which is a summer and a winter season. And it's actually just unsustainable for us to pay those amounts. I think it's also worth noting that, so we have confirmed bookings summer and winter, but we often end up sharing the grounds with other sports users, mostly football. We have a fantastic relationship with football. We fit in really well with each other, and there's scheduling arrangements that say that we're here at this time and they're here at this time, but this doesn't usually assimilate down to the players, and we're often asking the kids to move off the track. We're protecting our kids from footballs, softballs, cricket balls as they're running past. And we obviously need to provide a safe environment for our children. There's obviously a lot here about the Bold Ideas initiative, and we've got a lot of bold ideas, but that's not today. So yeah, we believe in the value of what we provide to our young people, and we need to keep delivering accessible, high quality athletics opportunities for our children, but obviously we are running out of money. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions, anyone?
Do you have the opportunity to raise funds in other means, and if so, can you tell us what they are?
We do. So we do fundraising. We have local events where we have sausage sizzles, baking. We do everything. We volunteer at Wheels at Wanaka. We do the Southern Lakes Marathon. We have our older kids doing activities outside of sort of athletics to try and raise money. So yeah, we do as much as we can. Absolutely. And we're trying to keep our fee. We haven't raised our fees this year. We have a system where if you have 3 children or more, that you get a discount. So we're trying to keep our costs low for our families. Yeah.
Thank you. And look, I know you guys do a fantastic job, so well done on that, and the coaches that have put in all the work. Our council's approach over many years has been to find a balance between user pays and ratepayers funded. So the obvious consequence of that is if we reduce the user charges, it increases the rates component. I suppose just to highlight, are you aware of that? Are you comfortable with that? That if we took that approach, it would increase rates in a challenging rates environment?
I mean, another way you could do this, so we share with, obviously with football and cricket and any other sports that are down there, they are also getting charged full price for the same time that we're using it. So, I mean, I'm not sure if it's double dipping, but everybody's getting charged full price. Is there any way we could lower the contractor fees, or I mean, there must be some way we can lower it for the children without putting too much money on the ratepayers. I'm not sure, Quinton. I don't know what the answer is there.
I suppose that's the balance we have to find. I mean, yes, we can provide a lower level of service, but it means not mowing the grass less, providing a lower quality of turf, providing less lighting, all that sort of stuff. That's the other consequence of reducing costs. So I suppose just to highlight that it's never a zero-sum game. If we take revenue away from the user pays component, it obviously has consequences on the finding that revenue for somewhere else, because we're not making the costs up. They're real costs that council incur to provide the facilities, and we've got to pay for them somehow, and we've just got to find that balance. Yeah.
I guess it's finding local contractors who may, I know there's different contract things going on at the moment, and maybe finding contractors who have a lower rate to bring, to then knock down into us, because we're definitely not asking for lower facilities. We, as well as our children, we're training world class, national class. Phoebe Laker at the moment is national champion, and she's training on these grounds. So absolutely, we're not asking for less of a facility.
And equally, I know that you've got aspirations for a lot more. So.
Yeah, and there's a lot of talent coming through, and it's having a good facility, and obviously that knocks on to Valentine Road, what's happening there. And I realise there's huge costs, but we can't afford it, and our families can't afford it.
Just interesting, you might have mentioned, how has your membership growing over the years, for the last 3 or 4 years or so, and what does that future look like in terms of growth?
So we're definitely growing. We have a wait list every season, and it's dependent on how many coaches we have. So we're always looking for additional coaches to come into our coaching group. We're all volunteers, so it's a lot of time on people, and because it's a user pays product, we don't allow too many children per group, because then, if you imagine, 40 or 50, 6, 7, 8-year-olds, so we restrict our group. So our numbers have grown. 2018, I think we had 35, we now have over 150. So we are growing, but we do have to cap it.
Cap by the resource
of
the coaches.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Wondering, what other fees they're probably in the application, but what are you charging individuals and families, and what's that sort of?
So it's around about 129 per child for a full season, and that goes from December through till March. And then it's 89 if you just do one term, and then there's a discount for families with 3 children or more, which we have quite a few interested in.
Thank you.
Sure. I assume the football club has more users, but are they paying the same fixed costs for their?
I couldn't comment on what they're paying, but they do. They have, a lot more users than we do. Yeah.
Sorry, just comparatively, do you know if your fees are very similar to other sports?
I'm not sure. Sorry.
Thank you.
So the units ahead. Sorry. The Upper Clutha Tracks Trust had to be working with the parks team directly. So instead we've got the Queenstown and Southern Lakes Islands Pipe Band.
Sorry, speak up, I can't hear you.
Oh, so the Upper Clutha Tracks Trust has they've decided to withdraw their application because they'll be working directly with the parks team.
Okay.
And up next we've got Queenstown and Southern Lakes Island.
Bottom one, so we're going, right. I can tell the here we go. Move, is it?
That's Murph, yeah.
Got 10 minutes, away you go.
10 minutes.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. My name's Murph Gunn. I'm the Vice President and Pipe Corporal of the Queenstown and Southern Lakes Island Pipe Band. Our band is a community-based pipe band dedicated to promoting Scottish music and cultural heritage through performances, competitions and multicultural events. And this funding will support the sustainability and development of our band. The Queenstown and Southern Lakes Pipe Band was formed in 1949. So we've been around a wee while. We've recently started competing. We're a grade 4 band, and we competed at the Nationals in Invercargill in March, gaining the 6th place out of 17 bands. Band team is made up of ages ranging from 15 to 86. We're honoured and proud to wear the Southern Lakes District tartan. This tartan that we wear is designed by local lady from Wanaka, Shona Johnson. Depicts the blues of the sky and lakes and browns of the tussocks and rocks of Central Otago. So that's a bit about our band. We're made up of experienced and intermediate and beginner musicians. Some of us have competed overseas and at events such as the Royal Edinburgh Tattoo and the Shanghai Festival. The band also enjoys performing and contributing to a wide range of community events, including local AMP shows, and recently the Arrowtown Autumn Festival led the parade through there. Relay for Life Multicultural Festival, Waitangi Day celebrations, Burn Suppers, St Patrick's Day, weddings and funerals, and we proudly support all the local Anzac services around the district. Queenstown and Arrowtown, Monica, Lake Aware, and also Abiur area and the QLDC area, Bannockburn, Cromwell, Alexander Clyde. So our, as part of our development, we're looking at purchasing a new set of drums. Existing drums are 15 years old, and we've had some drumming experts look at them, and they passed their use by date. So we're looking at purchasing lighter, stronger drums using new technology that will hold their tune. Drums are made, the drum corps is made up of bass drum, 2 tenor drums, and 3 snare drums. Bass drum sets the time and the breaks for the band. Snare drums provide the sort of driving to keep the whole band together, and the tenor drums are part of the overall ensemble. Our application includes drum cases as well to protect them while we're travelling to and from events, and also and the latest ergonomic harnesses that the actual drummers wear to help support and stability, reducing strain, enhancing wellness and mobility. The drums that we're looking at, they're not the top of the line. They're applicable for our size and our grade band. They're Andante drums from Northern Ireland, I think they come from. So that's what we're at.
Thanks. Yeah. Right. Questions? Yeah.
I just realised I have a bit of a conflict because I used to be a pipe major. So you can have all the money you want. Just a question, how much are the costs of replacing these drums, the new drums?
The quote we've got for replacing the full set of drums is 29,000.
And that will do, are you looking for all 3 tenor bass?
Tenor, yeah, bass, yeah, tenor bass. Yeah, 1 bass, 2 tenors, and 4 snare drums. Included, that 29 includes the saber cases and the new harnesses.
Yeah. And might I just add, great value and service to the community, by the way. You always turn up at the right time.
Yeah, we're all volunteers. And very good. Mm-hmm.
How do you become a member?
Well, we're currently going to advertise for some learners. We've just in the process of securing a drum shooter. She's just about to start shooting, and we've got one of our members is a school teacher, so she's going through that side of things. A lot of it's sort of word of mouth, really.
Do you have a practice space?
Yeah, we are based in we practice in the Arrowtown and the QLDC rugby rooms.
Oh.
There.
Oh.
So quite happy with that arrangement. Most of our members are in the Queenstown Lakes District area. I'm actually from recently, and I'm also the ex-pipe major as well of the band in Wamatuku, band in Southland. Recently come to this area to retire. found myself.
Cheaper funding.
Yeah.
Actually, another question, if no one else has got any. Is it the biannual competition in Queenstown? Is that run by your band or is it national?
The Otago South and Pipe Band that's been held there the last 2 years. It's run by the Otago Centre.
Do you make money off that?
No, we don't.
You don't.
Yeah, it actually runs at a loss, I understand it, and it's the Otago Centre.
Sorry, and I haven't heard you play, and it sounds like I need to get out more because it sounds great and the part is awesome. Just wondering, like, you might have said at the start, and it might have slipped my mind, but how long has it been running for, and how many members? And I guess where I'm going is, you know, if we're putting in we're going to put in a big drum kit. If the group was no longer, then what would happen to the drum kit? Sort of thing. So is a solid group that's been going for forever?
Yes, it's a solid group. I understand it's been going since 1949.
Right, okay. Well,
Yeah.
we'll do it.
Good.
Just trying to imagine Councillor Wong in a kilt.
That's not true.
In the past, how have you gone about replacing drums? How have you funded that in the past, or has it been a need in the past to replace?
Yeah. Well, as I say, that was before my time in the band. It was 15 years ago that they were last bought.
Yeah.
And a lot of their fundraising is through the normal channels, but we do a bit of busking in the summertime. It's part of their fundraising. So that would have been those drums.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is fundraising ongoing?
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you.
Brilliant.
Very good.
Thanks, Merv.
Okay. Thank you, boys, for your time.
Please let us know if you're busking down at the lakefront. It would be good to know if he's been to go in here.
Okay.
Very good. Thank you.
Good.
Yeah, good work.
Catherine. We're at Wanaka Pony Club. Same deal, just 10 minutes and got time left. We'll ask questions within those 10. So over to you.
For seeing me today. My name is Catherine Hutchison. I'm the president of the Howie and Wanaka Pony Club. We're based out at Howie and Domain, out in Howie Flat. The Pony Club's been around since 1957, and it is a branch of the Central Otago Pony Club, which itself has been around for many, many years. We run under the overall governing body of the New Zealand Pony Club Association, and there's basically hundreds of branches, or maybe 180 or so branches. We have the New Zealand Pony Club, then the mid-level, then the Central Otago Pony Club, and then ourselves. So we've got a very sort of strong governing body, and that feeds through all the different protocols and whether it's training or governance that we run under. We have a strong and growing club. We've currently got about 34, 35 riders in the past season. They range in age from very, very little. It's almost like a minimum age of sort of 2 years old, but sort of like you imagine 3 to 4 year olds on their first pony being led round by mum, through to active riders in their teens. Current oldest rider is about 17. You can be at Pony Club till about 21. So it's a really lovely group of young people and their families. Very much a family involvement too, because obviously you can't have kids there without supervision. So whenever we have a organised meeting, we've got so many kids, so many families, and it's a really lovely organisation. Our season runs from August, September, so springtime, all the way through to about now. We're just about finished, so late April, early May. And we hold rallies every 2 weeks out at the Howie Domain. And a rally consists of opening up to all our club members. We have set times, we pull in our volunteer coaches, we pull in our helpers, our volunteer parents to help wrangle the kids, and we just gather up there, and it's really lovely. We've got, sometimes we have a huge turnout depending on the time of year. But horse folks come out, ponies come out, mums and dads come out, and we're there all afternoon. During the summer times, we run on Wednesday afternoons from about 4:30 in the afternoon and pretty much till dark. So most recently when it's been getting dark at 7, we've had to close down at 7, but it's sort of all afternoon. And our volunteer coaches are fantastic. They'll take the kids out and do all these training activities. The Pony Club Association, through to us, operates on a certificate system for the kids. So if you were through the scouting system where you were aiming for badges, it's a similar sort of thing where the little kids right through to seniors, they have a certificate system where they're trying to fill in curriculum items, and the little ones can start doing it about 8 years old, but then the seniors can keep going right up to really senior levels, which become an international recognised qualification. So if you get very, very senior, the riders can then go to apply overseas for equestrian jobs, maybe working in horse-based jobs overseas in the UK. So it can become an international qualification. The senior grades also can then apply for international pony club events. There's a trans-Tasman one between Australia and New Zealand. That's only for the very high grades, and there's lots of other opportunities. So it's a very well structured system for the kids to get involved at from the little ages all the way through. It's really good progression. I couldn't really compare it to any other clubs that I'm aware of where you've really got that opportunity for the kids to start at a young age with mum and dad, and then go through and become very quite efficient, not only from sporting, but from confidence and social, and also the technical skills involved with what they need to do with their chosen hobby and or sport. So with the club, we've got these young riders. We're trying to meet every 2 weeks out at the Howie Domain, and Howie Domain is beautiful. So you've got the race course, and then we have a license to occupy not half of the middle section of the domain, it's 6 acres. We have a license to occupy from QLDC, and that runs through to 2027 with right of renewal through to 2032. With that license to occupy, we are responsible as a club for maintaining those grounds, and that's all fine, except the grass grows, and the grass grows really quickly, and we have to mow it. And it's a huge job for us as a club to have to find either someone to volunteer to mow it or to fund the actual mowing of it. And that's why I'm here today, to ask QLDC if there's a possibility of funding towards helping us cover that operational cost. Over the summer period, we're running from August through to May. We're needing to mow roughly 12 times a year, and obviously more in summer as need be. And at the moment, it's a combination of volunteers or occasionally contractors, but when we use contractors, it's intermittent, so we're having to find someone who can do it at last minute if our volunteers can't come through, and it's a cost. We're budgeting for it, but it's a huge cost. And the problem is, if we can't come up with a good plan for mowing of the grounds, we can't actually run rallies. It's not safe. The grass can grow. Even if you're driving through it, it can be up to that sort of bonnet height. It needs to be cut short because you've got rabbit holes, and you can't ride through it, and you can't drive through it. It's just not safe. So we've had issues in the last season where we've had to cancel rallies because we just haven't had either anyone to mow it, or we've realised that our volunteers fallen through, and we've had to cancel, which is pretty disappointing for those volunteers, but disappointing for the families. And it doesn't make us feel good when we have to cancel because our grounds aren't ready. Weather-wise, we tend not to have an issue with weather. It's pretty dry out there, so it's not a case that we'll cancel with rain, but it's really that we've found as a committee that the mowing of the grass is the biggest pinch point and the biggest stress for us to feel like we've got everything under control, because we really do need to have this a system in place, a structure in place, but it is an expensive job. I've included in my application an invoice from our most recent contractor, $593. That took nearly just over 4 hours for them to mow, and that was with a tractor and a slash mower. If we do get volunteers in, they generally don't have the equipment, it takes them longer too, and there's obviously still a cost involved with them, fuel and their own equipment. So I've based my request on 12 mows at that most recent invoice price. We are working with other organisations. We've got there is a Hawea Domain Board that looks after the Hawea Domain as a whole. One of our committee members is on that board. There's a meeting tonight, so I can't actually, it's unfortunately I couldn't get any more updates before this discussion. They are responsible for mowing the outside of the area, and they've had with the picnic races, they were getting, my understanding is they were getting a mow from council once a year for the picnic races. Now that the picnic races are looking like they're going to be not in the future, that's also up in the air whether there's what council is going to do to mow even once a year. That might fall through too, and that does, any mowing that's done on the external area does help us because it gives us access to our grounds. So any mowing of the car parking area helps us with moving in and out of the grounds too. So we will be working with Hawea Domain Board to see how we can manage the grounds, but certainly if we had some funding in place, we would understand exactly how we can help the other organisations. The domain itself is used as a public facility. Anyone can come and go, walk their dogs, drive in, run around. They can access our area too. We have an adult riding club that comes and uses the grounds. So whatever we can do for the grounds to maintain it does spill over into the wider community too. So I'm very thankful for the opportunity to be able to request for this funding. It would make a huge difference to all our club members and our families. So I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Got time for one. Go Mel.
What does it cost to be a member?
Oh, the membership, it is about $250 a year for the first child and adult. But of that membership, that goes, and I'm saying it about because we're at the start of the new year, we're going to be probably tweaking it up $10. A lot of that $55 will go to the NZPCA straight away, which is our government.
So 55 of the 200.
Yeah, 55 to 250 goes to NZPCA, and that covers things like insurance and the training and the certification, the systems in place. Then there's a middle section which goes to our regional pony club, and that's about $45, and that's also another club level where they have competitions and events. So currently, from the $250 odd, we as a club take $145. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Catherine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Joe's here. So again, Joe, 10 minutes. If you finish before the 10 minutes, we'll ask you some questions. Otherwise, over to you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Jo Lemont. For those of you who don't know, I'm Jo Lemont. I'm the chair of the Wanaka Business Chamber. I'm here today to talk to you about our project to establish a Wanaka Business Chamber physical office in Wanaka, which we have actually never had on our own before. Currently, work out of multiple home offices and don't have a physical presence in Wanaka. What I'm going to talk to you today, I'm assuming that you know a little bit about the Wanaka Business Chamber and you have read our proposal. So I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to just talk to you briefly about our project, why we're seeking operational funding from the QLDC fund, and the benefits to our members in the community should we get this funding to implement our project. So firstly, the project is to establish, as I said, an office space for the business chamber, but also as a hub for the business community. So the office, we have been lucky enough to find a very reasonably rated central business district office space that would provide us with desks for our staff, but also hot desking availability for other businesses, particularly lots in Wanaka. We have a lot of one-man bands or small businesses who work from home or who'd rather be in an office environment. And there is very limited hot desking space in Wanaka currently. So that would provide that, as well as a boardroom, which there is also a shortage of boardroom venues in Wanaka, and a training room as a big part of the chamber provides events and training to the business community. Excuse me. The idea being that both the workstations, the training room and the boardroom would be rentable to anybody in the, obviously predominantly we'll be focusing on the business community, but anybody in the community who's looking for that venue space. And we would hope that that would provide some revenue to back to the chamber to make this proposal long-term sustainably financially. This is a model that has been shown to prove to work by many chambers of commerce affiliated businesses around New Zealand, including some of our close partners, for example, Queenstown and Southland, have supported their operational funding through this process. So what are we looking for and why we ask for operational funding? So as I said, we've found some space that we think is reasonable. The fit out costs we've also sort of budgeted, we think, as little as we possibly can. We've gone out to members to provide sponsorship, donations in kind, any kind of labour that they can provide to try and counteract that actual capital cost and that initial funding costs. We've also applied to other external funders, Otago Community Trust, Lions Foundation, etc., to try and to boost up that capital funding. Our problem is that we are a very small organisation from a financial perspective, as much as we have over 300 members and probably up of 1,500 employees as part of those businesses. We don't have any other external funding, so we run on a very small operational budget and have very, very small reserves. And month to month, it is a bit of a balance between the money that we spend on resources to provide services to our members versus what we can hold to develop further. So as much as we believe that this, if we can establish an office that we can get operational sustainability through the renting of spaces, it's the first 6 months that we're going to struggle with, because we just don't have the reserves to build up that financial sustainability. And so what we're seeking is support in that operational space to allow us to get the office working, to build up a bit of an operational reserve to allow for that revenue generation to continue long term. What is this going to bring to, what will we see this office and this project, I guess, and hopefully the long-term sustainability of this project to the community, is that one, it's actually a benefit to the Wanaka Business Chamber in itself in terms of providing efficiency for us. We currently have 4 part-time staff who all work from home. They meet with business owners, stakeholders, including council members and council groups in cafes and other businesses' boardrooms. We spend about anywhere between $7,000 and $10,000 a year on venue costs to run our events and training throughout the community, and we often have to restrict our events and our training because of the availability of venue space. So it's going to save us an operational cost. So there's actually a benefit to the business community. We'll be more efficient. We'll be able to better utilise our minimal resources to provide better services to our business community. It also gives us, the business community, a business place to connect and seek support. So currently, if you're a new business owner or a small business owner, of which the majority of our businesses are, as you'll be well aware, is actually, in order to find us, it's really quite difficult to arrange a meeting in a cafe, as opposed to then being able to just drop in and saying, I've got this problem, or I need help in this space, where do I go to find it, can you assist with that? So actually having a space which is a business hub for the Wanaka district is actually a really good, I guess, ongoing professional service that we can provide to our community. And the other is that in order to, I know part of our objective as the chamber is to provide community wellbeing through business and economic sustainability and development. So a place where they can call their own, they can use it themselves. So it's they can use hot desks or meeting room to try and develop their own businesses and get their own sort of wellbeing and economic sustainability is a really big part of what we're trying to achieve. We're a really small organisation in terms of the number of people that work there, but our outputs are very large, and we just want to be able to take it to the next level. I think we survived COVID reasonably well. When you're an events and training based organisation, COVID was very, very difficult, but we managed to support our businesses through that, and we want to then just take Wanaka business community and the wider community that it supports to the next level. So in short, I guess that this project's looking to enhance the business community and the community as a whole by providing that ongoing space.
Joe, questions? Go, Matt?
I was on the board of the Queenstown Chamber when we went through exactly this, so I understand what you're going through.
Yeah.
Question, upstairs rental space, is that what you're looking at?
Yeah, so we're looking at this space in Spencer Mall upstairs next to Miles Anderson's office. Yeah.
Okay.
Is the chamber membership growing?
So we had a bit of a dip post COVID. So we actually went up during COVID. It's because we provided them free membership for a period of time, and then it dipped significantly. We have then regrown and are now quite stable. But in order to grow further, we need to kind of reinvest back into and provide more value to our businesses so that they can see that value return. So we're quite static at around 300. As a percentage of population, that's really high or compared to other chambers around New Zealand. But our target is to increase 10% year on year from here on, and if we can achieve this.
Is there any indication of how other chambers are funded around it? I mean, I'm just trying to do some, I mean, there's obviously different models, but how are the councils typically fund chambers? It sort of doesn't appear to be the case.
So there's different models around the country. So some chambers, more so in the north than the south, are linked quite closely with the economic development agencies in the region, and they get some funding. The bigger chambers in the bigger regions tend to, for Business South, for example, based in Dunedin, they tend to get the regional government contracts to deliver things like RVP funding, is the regional business partner funding, and then they deliver it on behalf of an entire region. So they are supported through central government funding. The other, in places like Invercargill and Queenstown, for example, their membership is significantly higher than ours, and so that they have a lot of reserves. So I think, whereas we don't have that because we're quite small.
Just touching on that, in the cases where they are funded, it's primarily in the economic development space. So, you know, obviously, I mean, we had a meeting yesterday with all the partners of economic development, and I know when Gigatown, for instance, the chamber played a role in the sort of Gigatown program from that economic development space, which is obviously turned into startup and all that sort of stuff. So I suppose, yeah, just trying to separate, you know, the things that council should be involved in, those things they shouldn't.
So most chambers will seek external funding, whether from councils or local community trusts or more particular projects, whether it be a training project or a capital development project, because membership, as much as it sustains, is the base of a lot of chambers. It's not enough for, there's no chamber that is purely sustained through membership rates. So whether it's through the council community funding or through creative arts community funding or educational MB funding, most, or in fact all chambers do have a continuous kind of external funding kind of application process whereby they.
But once again, if they went to MB, it'd be for economic development or for trade and enterprise or something like that. So okay, that's not what's being.
Yeah, we're going to have to end it there.
Yeah.
Up. So thank you, Joe.
Thank you. That was really helpful.
Okay, I'm hoping this is Guy.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Same again, 10 minutes. If you finish before 10, we'll ask a couple of questions.
Got 5 minutes.
5, well, that's brilliant. We'll get 5 minutes of questions. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Up here, so. Okay, well, hello everybody. I'm Guy Kennedy, and I'm the chair of Predator Free Wanaka. We were previously called Wanaka Backyard Trapping, and I'd like to thank you all for taking the time to talk with me this morning. So Wanaka Backyard Trapping was formed in 2018. We're an incorporated society and a registered charity. We have a committee of 4 and over 125 volunteers out in the field managing the traps. We're 100% volunteer run. Every dollar goes into our cause, the fight for controlling predators. So we're in the front lines of the battle to keep predator numbers under control. It's our mission to see thriving native wildlife in the Upper Clutha. Apparently, we have about 35 native species in our region currently threatened with extinction. We pay for, implement and operate traps on QLDC, DOC and LIN's land. We don't do private land trapping, but we do provide assistance. I've been in this role for just over a year. Previously, I'd set up and sold a software startup before I moved to Wanaka about 2 years ago. I thought I could use some of those skills to breathe new life into Wanaka backyard trapping. One of the first things we did was run a poll to our supporters to feel out a name change. The support was strong, so last year we renamed from Wanaka Backyard Trapping to Predator Free Wanaka. We felt the backyard term didn't reflect the scale of operations that we have. We've got about 750 traps across 25 trap lines. We also wanted to align with the Predator Free 2050 initiative. Last year we were lucky enough to get funding for a new logo and a website and a brand redesign. In the past 12 months, we created a new website, introduced an online donation system, changed our technologies to make them easier to work with, changed our constitution and membership system, and streamlined a bunch of other processes in order to support growth. Last year was our best fundraising year. And with the funds, we put in lines in Deans Bank, Dublin Bay, Hawea River, Butterfields Wetlands, and Mount Iron. And of course, we're hoping to repeat our success this year as well. We're aiming to add 2 to 3 new lines over the next 12 months. Not too boring?
No.
No, we're quiet. So we maintain really good relationships with other community groups, Southern Lake Sanctuary, Wanaka, Bike Wanaka, Friends of Bullock Creek, and a whole bunch of others. We do education talks at schools and various other groups. So in terms of vision, when I started, we had no defined area that we operated in, and now we do. So our vision is to create a Wanaka halo, similar to what they're doing in Wellington, which has been very successful. Every corner trapped. So it's a 20-year stretch goal. With this in mind, we've asked a company called Wildlands to prepare a quote for a strategic approach to show us how to achieve this. This will show us the most effective placement of traps, when, which order and how, and we'll need funding for this report. Sadly, funding this year hasn't been so successful. We're counting on QLDC, this is you, to help support Predator Free Wanaka and join us in our shared vision to see thriving native wildlife in Clutha. Thank you.
Sky, questions?
One of the lines here says we're looking for assistance to operate our current traps, bait and miscellaneous items. What were those miscellaneous items?
Yeah, so so when someone goes out to do a trap, check the traps, they need the bait, they need drills, fluoro jackets, tools to get the predators out, things like that. So there's just miscellaneous bits and pieces that go along with that.
The toolkit.
Toolkit, yeah,
Yeah.
trapping kit.
Thank you.
Well,
In your operating cost budget, you've got Queenstown Airport Community Fund and Air New Zealand Every Corner project. Are those confirmed?
One of them was declined and we haven't heard back on the other one.
Oh,
So we've raised no funds this year except from our online donation system.
Just roughly what sort of numbers are you taking out annually?
How many predators?
Yeah.
Oh, about 800 or 900.
Of every species, is it?
Yes, rats, stoats, ferrets, possums.
Do you use the trap system, NZ Trap and
Trap NZ.
Trap NZ, wrong way around? And just in terms of, you know, how often the traps are checked in your process for sort of managing the volunteers and making sure that it's regular, is that something that, because I know it takes a lot of work and I know over the other side they've got someone paid to do that, and you guys are volunteers, so do you still fulfill that role?
I do most of the work for the group.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a really busy, really hectic role. So I do that. So what each trap line, there's about 25 trap lines, and there might be anywhere from 20 to 60 traps on a line. Each trap line has what we call a trap line coordinator. So they're responsible for managing the volunteers and the checking of each trap line. They report back into Trap NZ, and then we check the stats to make sure every trap line is being managed and checked.
Right, so they're all, because I know over the other side, some groups are more active than others, and you know, it's difficult to, you know, your volunteers are obviously, I don't know, active and into it, I suppose.
You know, we check to make sure every trap line is checked.
Yeah.
We have a meeting tonight, and we pull up the stats from the software, and we can see if there's some blankness there. I'll contact that trap line coordinator and say what's going on. I forgot to do the stats. I'm sorry, but they do. Every line is checked. Yeah. In winter, it's about once a month, and in summer, twice a month.
Thank
Do you guys receive any support from Otago Regional Council or Department of Conservation?
No.
Have you applied for any funding through those channels?
No.
Online
Just
donations.
to wrap it up.
How much?
So far,
The last 12 months?
we've only had it running for about 3 months. We've raised $200.
Like Sanctuary not?
Yes, they do. They donate traps to us. So Southern Lake Sanctuaries has got about 22 employees. They operate out of Queenstown. We're on their board, and they're really supportive. We wouldn't be able to function without them. So they give us about 30 traps a year. They help us with, you know, monitoring of species to see what's there and what's not. And occasionally they'll give us a few dollars if they've got a bit spare. They give us $1,000 for social fund for the next 12 months.
So Bonnie helps over here as well. Does Bonnie from Miss Sally's help over here?
I don't know, Bonnie.
You don't know Bonnie. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, go on. Thanks, guys. Brilliant.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good work.
Look forward to your support. Thank you.
Right, next up, Matt B. Wanaka Community Response Group. All good.
Morning,
There we go.
Well,
10 minutes. If you finish before that, you get asked questions.
God, make some stuff up. What questions?
How are you? Go for it.
I'm good. I'm Matt McPhee. I'm the Deputy Chair of the Wanaka Community Response Group. I won't go deeply into the information that's in the application. Obviously, you've already got that information. So I'll just speak into a bit of the context around what we need and what we do. We're a group that's put together by, instigated by Emergency Management of Otago, you guys will be familiar with. And we've got a group of 70 volunteers at the moment. Committee, meeting monthly, basically building resilience in our community and preparing for a big emergency, which is likely to be a big earthquake that you all know of. Now, our application is for funding for radios. The reason for this is as part of EMO's setup of us, and our remit is to be a communication network and to be a node in the network for community information. So part of that is in the context of an emergency. And emergency happens, we have Wanaka divided into sectors, 9 sectors geographically. We have volunteers and sector coordinators in each of those sectors. Now, over time, ideally, we'll have 12 to 15 volunteers, members of our group in each of those sectors. And part of what we need to do is pass community information about what's happening on the ground, through our hub, through to the WIC, which is the Wanaka Incident Command Centre. And to enable this, we need to be able to communicate easily across a reasonably wide geographical area. So the idea behind the radios is to allow our teams, when there's likely to be no phone service, and potentially even if phone service comes back on, it's a busy time of year when there's 20, 30,000 tourists in town, all trying to call their families to tell them they're okay at the same time. Phone service may not be as useful, and the immediacy of being able to use radios in that context will make a big difference. So the idea being that we have radios for each of our sectors, so our sector coordinator and their teams, to be able to go out into their communities, amongst their neighbourhoods, check on people, find out what's going on, and relay any information around needs or incidents that are going on back through to the command centre, to allow them to support us and also deploy if needed. Part of the other side of that is also actually running our hubs themselves. So at the moment, we're going to stand up one hub. Over time, as we get more members and whatnot, ideally there should be multiple hubs in Wanaka, like there will be in Queenstown. Queenstown has, you're probably aware of the groups over there. They're in smaller neighbourhood geographical areas. We have one covering a very big area at the moment because we're the first one that started. Ideally, over time, we build those. So there's probably one at North Lake, one in Albert Town, individual ones with their own hubs. And each of those areas will need communication capability. So inside a hub, say space like this, we've got our teams spread out throughout the building and being able to communicate in between those and to other members of our team around outside buildings coming back in. It's going to be really important. We've done some testing on the standard VHF radio scenarios in Wanaka, and there are plenty of blind spots, plenty of black spots where those radios aren't going to be able to communicate directly. If our repeater, which is on Mount Roy, goes down, and we're not able to use that, that's going to make it even more complicated. We can do point to point, which is really challenging. And so these radios will allow us to do relay communications around town to get more people covered with what we're doing. Also want to just point that the government is currently looking at the new Emergency Management Act. They've just put out more feedback on that legislation, which is coming out soon. Part of, which I'll refer to, part of the issues that it wants to deal with. So the issues is meeting diverse needs of people and communities, strengthening and enabling iwi Māori participation in emergency management, strengthening and enabling community participation in emergency. They're the first three major issues. And also the fourth one, recognising that people, business and communities are often the first to respond in an emergency. So the reality is if there's a big earthquake, for Wanaka especially, the community are the first people to respond. There's no official, there's no civil defence members here based professionals, there's no one ambulance that's on full time. We're going to be on our own. We're going to rely on our, yeah, I know, right? One ambulance. We're going to rely on the community, right? And we're lucky we've got some really great people in this community. We've got a lot of people with great skills and initiative, and that's a great thing. But part of what the government is looking to push is exactly what we're already fulfilling in this community. So building community resilience to make sure that our community is ready for this when it happens. The research is really, really clear around the difference it makes, not just to the response, but also the recovery after a big emergency, of having the community prepared beforehand. So a huge part of what we do is building community resilience by getting people aware of the risks, helping them to plan, helping them to prepare, know what to do, and then also networking with the other groups in Wanaka. So making sure that all the groups that might be able to help and might have something to do in an emergency knows what everybody else is doing. So we don't have double ups, but we also have really good knowledge about what everyone's actually going to do, what the plans are, and then to integrate those plans. So yeah, I think what we're asking for is very worthwhile investment into the community. It's something that can be used ongoing. It's not going to run out of date anytime soon. We'll be useful for a long time to come. So yeah, any questions?
Questions?
Actually, it might be your question. I'm just thinking about bridges, and I've been Hainauki, so we've thought about where we put our radios.
Yes.
Are you out in Hawea as well? And would you be?
No, so Hawea has its own scenario. They've got their own group, which we're in touch with and supportive of. Currently, as far as where all our equipment and what we do is, so we've received funding to build a custom trailer to have all our equipment in, so that we can use it in big, non-emergency scenarios. So we go to the AMP show to build resilience, awareness. We do an event each year, an expo about preparedness and whatnot. These radios that we're getting, some of those, so each of our sectors have a sector coordinator box. So they will have some radios. So we'll spread them around town. So in each sector, there'll be a group of these ones. We have our main base ones. So each sector will have a VHF radio, which can talk to the WIC, can talk to Queenstown, whatever. These ones will be within the zone. Yeah. So they're smaller range. They're not talking over Queenstown. They're talking within our teams. And so there'll be a bunch, obviously, with our trailer, which is currently about to start production. We're just waiting for the final designs. That's going to get built in the next few months, and then that will have our main base station plus a couple of the big handhelds, and then these smaller ones that we're funding for. And then in each of the sectors, which are 9 in Wanaka, they'll each have, to begin with, 2 or 3. Ideally, there's probably 4 to 5 in each of those. So we'll get more of these radios over time. This is just the first set to kind of get a set for the amount of sectors and coordinators of people we have right now. Yeah, so that's where they'll all sit and they'll be spread around.
And lots of people have access to them, and yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, how it kind of works, we assume that at any one time when the emergency happens, whoever's like the main sector coordinator could be overseas, could be somewhere else, right? So we're training and planning for people to fill, lots of people to fill each role, and lots of people to know where the radios are, what the things, what you have to do. So we do repeated trainings each year around radio use, setting community hub, etc. They're just going to be ongoing forever. As new members come on, old members leave, new people move to town, kind of thing. It's going to keep training in all of this stuff. So it's got good readiness.
Right. Have you considered investing in Starlink minis instead?
We have considered Starlink. I'm loath to put the safety of my community in the hands of one man and his ability to turn that off whenever he feels like it. So I appreciate the technology is useful, but it's also not controlled by anyone who I would trust. So I would rather have these as well. And Starlink minis are not. Yeah.
So you'd rather not.
No.
The ego of a man.
No. Let me take that. That was a little aside. It's a risk, as we've seen in Ukraine, where he's decided to just not allow it across certain geographical borders, right? But no, we've considered Starlink. The nature of Starlink is that you need to log into it monthly. You need to keep the account ongoing to use it. Radios, you turn them on, you use them. They're good. There's no ongoing cost. So as far as funding for us, we get funding for things, right? We could fund a Starlink setup, but getting funding for ongoing monthly costs would be more expensive. We will put a Starlink into our system because we do want to be able to connect to the internet for numerous reasons. So absolutely, the Starlink scenario is helpful. And is something we have investigated, and we will likely do that. For the individual, the context in which we want to use them initially, the radios are more appropriate, we feel. Starlink as a solution is also going to be part of our solution over time. It's in our list of things to get funded as we go, is to get a Starlink to go with our trailer so that we can communicate in that way. But again, if there's minimal Starlinks in town and there's a big emergency, everybody wants to connect to it at the same time, there's a possibility that it will be overloaded as well. The context of a small area with people trying to action stuff on the ground, with people trapped in buildings or hurt or needing immediate care, radios are more reliable. And that's the advice we got from some of our members, especially Dave Brown, who worked professionally in emergency management in Australia for 15 years. And so we go, on the kind of industry recommendation in that sense. But yes, we will be looking at that.
Thanks, Matt. Time's up. And just as Chair of Lifelines Otago, the Lifelines Regional Otago Coordinator is actually a resident of Wanaka. So you do actually have CDEM professionals in Wanaka.
That's good to know. We didn't know that. If you speak to him next, ask him to reach out. We'd love to talk to him.
Thanks, Matt.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
See you later. All right. Next one. Same again, 10 minutes. Over to you, and if you finish early, we'll ask you questions.
Or 5.
Well, oh, hang on.
Under promise, over deliver.
You actually have been only given 5 for some reason, but you're the only one that's been given 5, but I'll let you have 10. How about that?
They've all said that. They've all said that.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway.
Go for it.
Good Clutha, thank you so much for your time here today, and thank you for the opportunity to speak in support of our application today. I am Loran. I'm the trust manager for Te Kākano. I think most of you would be familiar with the work we do, but I'll explain briefly what Te Kākano is about. So it's a small not-for-profit organization based in Wanaka. It was created in 2008 with the vision to create community land care and to connect the communities with the land in the Rohe here, but also for the hills. We run a community native plant nursery where we grow about 18,000 eco-sourced native plants. We're not commercial. All the plants are used for community projects here in Wanaka and around Wanaka. We also run an environmental education program, and we work with all the primary schools, the high school, most of the early childhood centers, as well as polytech students and uni students. For a lot of our planting projects, we collaborate with many other organizations. Collaboration and partnership is crucial to our work here. And also we work really well with the parks team, and I'd like to acknowledge their work and the great collaboration we have with them. It's crucial. The application we submitted is to help us to cover some of the costs to maintain the planting sites we have. We're very well supported by the community here in Wanaka. We're very fortunate to have a lot of volunteers. They come twice weekly to our nursery sessions. They come to planting sessions. They help with watering over summer. But when it comes to maintenance, it's a little bit harder to get people. I think we need to come up with a new word than maintenance. The ideas. And sometimes also the maintenance work is really hard physically, and there are concerns around health and safety. So we need to hire contractors to help us with the maintenance on some of the sites. And when I talk about maintenance, I mean mulching, watering, irrigation checks, weeding, weed eating, checking that the cages are there so the plants are not eaten by rabbits. And all of that is crucial for the plants to survive. So it's a really important part of what we do. And also with the climate changing, we really have to water more over summer. So this is something we didn't used to have to do. And over the last 3 or 4 years, we really want to do that watering more in order for the plants to survive. So work impacts the community at large and our environment. Obviously, plants bring a lot of joy to people, but also to birds and invertebrates and lizards. We create a lot of pockets of native habitats around here, and that's for all the ecosystem. We also plant a lot of endangered species, so it's quite an important part of our work to keep those species alive and thriving here in Wanaka and in the upper Clutha. And there's also an education and recreational value of the work we do for the community at large. So this grant for us is an opportunity to ensure that all the work we do has a long-lasting effect for the community and the environment.
Good.
I also want to acknowledge that we're very grateful to have been supported over the years by council, because yeah, it's really fun. Thank you.
Questions, councillors?
Just I guess a practical one. I'm just interested in the watering.
Yeah.
When you talk about maintenance watering, do you guys have like a tank and a trailer, and how do you water? Are there, I imagine there's places that are away from reticulated supplies and
yes, yeah. So if you've walked around the lake, you may have seen some blue drums around the lake. So these drums are filled up with water. Sometimes we have a connection coming from neighbours or a creek or somewhere, but other times we need to use a pump and pump the water from the lake to fill up these drums.
Okay.
So there's costs like that. So the pump and the people needing to do that. In places we have set up irrigation dripper lines. So it needs to be checked. We've had so many leaks over this last summer. It was a lot of work, especially along the Millennium Track, and we don't want to waste water. Yeah. So there's a lot of things like that when it comes to water. We don't have a trailer with a IBC container to go and water the plants.
And just look, we haven't had a chance to read through these in detail. So
yes.
Any detail that you can give would be great. 500, it's not too much. I'm just, in particular, what are you looking to purchase that?
Yeah, so it's mostly to cover the cost of organising the maintenance sessions when we do with the volunteers. So most of our work is done by volunteers, but we still need to have paid contractors to set up the events. And then also we are paying some contractors to do the work. When it comes to weed eating, we don't want our volunteers to do that for health and safety reasons. And so we need to use equipment as well. and sometimes it has a cost, and there's transportation, so mileage for the people going to sites. There's also a bit of monitoring to make sure that the species are doing well, so a bit of travel and time counting trees to do the monitoring part. And again, that not everything can be done by our volunteers. Yes, it is. Yeah. So that's mostly to cover for the labour.
Esther?
Thank you.
Could you just tell me if you do much collaboration with like Trees That Count or Tane or other organisations that?
Yeah, we work with Trees That Count, their supporters, and we work with all the other local reforestation trusts here, so in Frankton, but also in Central Otago. It's always so important to learn from others and learn the techniques and what works for them in terms of maintenance as well. So yes, we work with groups. Yeah, thank you.
Just where is Takakano located now? Where's the plant nursery?
We're still at the same location.
Oh, okay.
We haven't moved. It is something that may happen, but at the moment we can stay where we are until September 2028.
Okay. Are you still looking for a
We
potential
are.
new
Yeah.
site?
Yeah. So that's going to be another side work.
Is there any, just in terms of area and numbers of trees and things that this would cover the maintenance of? Do you have a rough?
Yeah, so we plant around 5,000 native plants every year. But that covers, most of these plants are planted on council land, but also on dock and instead. And maintenance has to be done for at least the first 2 to 3 years of these plants.
Yeah.
So that would be 15,000 plants to look after.
Right. And a lot of it's on council land.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, thank you, Lauren.
Great work you did.
Brilliant.
Thank you very much.
Good work.
Okay, I've got down 11:15 for our next speaker. Stephanie. Stephanie, you're here. You happy to jump in early? Brilliant. You got Meg and moral support, or?
We're a dynamic duo.
Okay. Well, again, 10 minutes, finish early, you'll hit the questions, no doubt. Yeah.
Got lots of nice questions there.
So, Abbeyfield, Wanaka House.
Thank you.
Go for it.
Thanks for the opportunity, first of all. Hi, I'm Stephanie. I am a part of Abbeyfield, trying to get an Abbeyfield house built in Wanaka. And I was trying to think how to start today to approach you. And I thought what I'd start with is I was one of the people that was interviewed this week by some Otago University students who are studying housing planning. And a lot of us within the Abbeyfield group were approached, as I'm sure other people were in town, and you guys know all about that because you commissioned it. But interesting for me, after about half an hour of being quizzed by them on why we went down this route, what we thought about housing and affordable housing, the very last question was kind of the most interesting one. So the final question was, he looked me directly in the eye and he said, if you could change one thing about affordable housing or housing, what would it be? And it really kind of floored me. I'm a bit of a talker, as a lot of people know, and I could have said a lot of things. I could have said a million things, really, but I thought of just one word, and I said the one thing that needs to change is perception. So, and it's a simple enough word, but what I realised is, and how it related to today, so we could talk about it today, was this funding, if you give it to us, will help change perception, and that is the main thing that we need to change. There's not a lot of awareness about the need for an Abbeyfield house at the moment in Wanaka, and there's lots of reasons for that. Wanaka is the most incredible place to live, an incredible community, but it is full of myths and perceptions, as I'm sure all of us in this room, if we live here or have people that live here, know. Some of the myths that I've got in a few bullet points are that only rich people live here. I knew they'd laugh at that. That anyone and everyone can just go to a retirement village when they think the time is right, or they're at a certain age. I guess that's true for some people. If you've got a house to sell or millions of dollars in the bank, it's not an option for a lot of people. One of the myths are that there are no poor people here.
One of them is that people don't realise that sometimes when you're over 65, you end up with no assets through lots of various reasons. You know, scarily, it can and does happen to anybody. It doesn't actually take very much for someone to go from having assets earlier on in their life to having no assets because whatever the life journey is thrown at them and something happens to them along the way. So how will this funding help us? It will help certainly dispel some of those myths, I hope, and just change perception about this incredible community, and just foster the idea that diversity is what basically gives Wanaka its heart. We're not that superficial, glossy thing that other people see if they're outsiders. Certainly, we are a real community that has heart. And at our first official big fundraiser on Friday, that was just shown in all its glory, wasn't it? Like Wanaka just rallied round us. We were all totally overwhelmed about it, to be honest. They pretty much everybody we asked said yes to us. We got amazing prizes.
So the quiz night we held at the bowling club.
We held a quiz night. We'd budgeted to raise $2,000. We actually found out last night at an Abbeyfield meeting we raised $4,000. So you know, we know that Wanaka's got a big heart. What is a little bit frustrating at the moment is we can't get the word out there to enough people about the awareness. You know, when you say to people, oh, we're part of Abbeyfield, 9 times out of 10 people say, oh, what's that? So we need to raise awareness, and that's where this money will help. So in simple terms, without changing perception about the need for an Abbeyfield house, there'll never be that awareness. And if we can make Wanaka more aware, we can build it. And my hope, if we get this money, is that we can build it more quickly, which is vital, and Meg will explain why shortly. The waiting list for affordable housing is just going up every day for people over 65. And so if we can build it quicker by raising awareness quicker, it might seem that you know, maybe you can't see the significance of what this money would do to us. It could be an absolute game changer in the whole thing in terms of getting the project brought forward. So when we speak to groups and individuals, it's not a hard sell. I worked in body language for 12 years. I can see for some of you guys, this is not a hard sell. You know that we need it. But raising awareness is hard, and that's where you can help. You know, we're at crisis. It sounds a bit dramatic, like drama queen, to sit here and say we're at a crisis in Wanaka, but we actually are. It's impossible to live on just pension in Wanaka. Absolutely impossible. So without working too, people are left with very difficult decisions every day about having to leave town because they couldn't survive on the $538 a week. And only yesterday, a little unit came up in Wanaka for $670 a week. The pension's $538. So this project basically will give people hope for a better life as they age, because it'll be a permanent part of our community when it's built, and it will give hope to people. So if I've got a bit longer, I'm going to say this last bit as well. I put an extra little bit in case you gave us a little bit longer. So so the Abbeyfield model itself is perfect for people with no assets who are living week to week. They can live comfortably on the pension and even have a little money left over. Crippling financial anxiety has been a long-term norm for many in this town over 65. Take that away, add in nutritious, good quality food, not worrying about if you can afford to put heater on, and companionship, and you get a transformative, life-changing experience. It's life-changing living in that field. So that's my little pitch.
Esther.
Can I book in? So yeah, I guess just to make it clear then, so Abbeyfield is not for profit.
Yeah, we're a registered charity.
Yeah. And in terms of the size of it, it's small, it's like 15,
14 plus a live-in housekeeper and cook. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And have you got a site kind of?
No, that's why we are wanting this groundswell of awareness in the community of the issue, because that will help to bring forward not only funders and donations and people who are offering services maybe at a reduced cost, but also people who've got land. We've had 1 or 2 options, but nothing definite, and one of them probably wasn't appropriate, though it was very generous. So, you know, I don't think any of the developers yet are fully aware of what we're about. So this is a way of getting at quite a wide range of people through the cinema, through putting the trailer on at the cinema over winter. Big range of people. And the earlier we can start that, the better. Because we're trying to raise around $4 million just for the build. Hopefully we can bring that down with donations and with people offering building services or design services less expensively, but that's still a lot of money. And then on top of that, we've got to get land in a place, that land is not cheap or easy to get.
Just, could you give us a bit of an overview of the origins of the Abbeyfield housing concept?
Can I do that? Yeah, I only spoke about this to Rotary on Monday night, so it's all still in my head. Yeah, the very first origins actually were in the UK after the war, when a lot of widows were left by themselves. So the original Abbeyfield concept was started by an Anglican minister who basically housed all these women with children left after the war and co-housed them, so they had somewhere to live. And it's now in pretty much every continent of the world. In New Zealand, there's about 14 built and 8 in the process of being built. So it's not a new model. There's a lot of them. There's also one aiming to be built in Alexandra as well. They're about a year ahead of us at the moment.
There's one in Queenstown.
Yeah, and one in Queenstown, which is how all this basically first started for me. I went to look around the Queenstown one myself, with a view that when I was 65, I might want to live there. And I found myself not being able to walk back to my car because I thought, I don't want to live in Queenstown, I want to live in Wanaka. We need to build one in Wanaka. So I walked back in and said to Simon, the manager, okay, what would it take to build one in Wanaka? And he said, come in and let's talk.
So we get a lot of advice and project management support from the National Office, but we have to fundraise for the build, and we continue to manage. We set up a management committee that manages Abbeyfield Wanaka going forward. So we've got the security of knowing the model that's been set up around the country, and we can follow that model, but the funding is entirely up to us.
Have you got any strong leads on land at the
We've
moment?
got leads on land.
Yeah, but you haven't got any.
Nothing definite as yet. Yeah.
Because that's obviously the biggest
That's
challenge.
the key, because we can't really, it's a chicken and egg thing. We can't approach, we've got indications of interest, but we can't get anything seriously until we've got a site. Yeah. We don't really want to have to fundraise for another lot of land. I think that then gets to be.
One more from Vicky and we'll have to wrap up.
Well, it's just in terms of that, because it is funding not for something tangible, but for.
Yes.
So, just you've touched on it, but I'm just really interested in the structure behind it. We've got a community hub and Queenstown project that, and a lot of it hinges on who's on the committee, what your succession plan is, all of that side of things. I'm just wondering how far down the track you are, what skills you have on your committee.
We've got Julie Scott from Queenstown Lakes Housing Trust is on the committee. We have Councillor Lyle on the committee. Who's stepping back from this decision making, obviously, but is very good to have on the committee.
You've got the land portfolio. You've got the land,
And we've got a lot of people involved in the community, at the coalface in Wanaka. So we've got people in social welfare and nursing.
Yeah.
And you've got a large national body support.
And we've got a national body behind us.
And you've got Simon Hayes.
And just before I go, before you close up, that's just from the Queenstown Lakes Housing Trust. So that's the stats on the percentage of renters that they interviewed in different age groups. And it shows a percentage 60 plus at the moment, but to me the really interesting figure is the people 50 and over. And try as they might, the Lakes Housing Trust is not going to be able to, well, those people aren't going to be able to approach a bank and get funding for a house at that age, are they? Or it's going to be very hard for them. So it's this population that's coming towards us that we're looking at. There are people at the moment who need it, but there's also going to be a lot more people coming forward.
Thank you, Meg. Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time. Thanks very much. Thank you.
All right, John Langley.
Yeah.
John, all good?
Thank you.
need 10 minutes.
Yeah, I won't need that. My name's John Langley. I'm a trustee of the Hawea Charitable Trust and a guardian of the Guardians of Lake Hawea. This application is sort of de facto for the Guardians of Lake Hawea, and I'll explain that in a minute. But the project essentially is to enhance the Indigenous biodiversity along the Gladstone track from the eastern boundary of the town towards John Creek. I don't know, people, is everyone familiar with the Gladstone track? No. Okay, so it's a biking and walking track that starts at the hotel in Wanaka. It's linked to Wanaka. I'll come back in a minute. So it starts at the pub at Lake Hawea and it goes right through to John Creek. And the Tracks Trust essentially established it and recently paid, my understanding is paid for the upgrade of that. But going into the future, the council is meant to maintain the track. I could be corrected on that, but that's my understanding. And that track goes through Crown land managed by Linds. It's important to mention Wanaka because lots of people ride from Wanaka to Hawea, and a subset of them keep going on to John Creek. So it's about, I can't remember how many K it would be, 5 to 6 K from the pub to John Creek. And since it's been upgraded, it's become incredibly popular for walkers and bikers. Prior to the upgrade, a project was initiated by the Guardians to enhance the biodiversity along the track. Largely, it's been gorse, buddleia and briar, and not very pleasant. So a project was initiated to enhance that, initially by releasing plants that have been swamped by the few native plants that are there. So by releasing the gorse or the buddleia, that's largely been done, and the focus in the last few years has been on planting. It's pretty challenging sites, and the focus is on 3 areas. The first area is called Grandview Creek, which, if you've ridden along there, you notice it because there's now a bridge across the creek when it's flowing. And then there's another big bay we call Urquhart Bay. And then when you get to John Creek, there's a bay we call Rowley Bay. And this application is focusing on Rowley Bay. And the shoreline there was just infested with pest plants, no native plants, buddleia, pine trees, the whole lot. And that's been cleared over time and planted over time, planted from the east to the west. And this application is for phase 4 of that planting. There'll probably be another phase to complete the planting. I wanted to emphasise that the application here for $7,000, the application form says, what other co-funders have you gone to? And the answer is none in terms of this phase. But I just want to tell council, and I've mentioned in the report, that for phases 1 to 3, we've sought and obtained about 30,000 from the HCA, Otago Community Trust, and more recently Otago Regional Council. That was for phase 3, and the Otago Regional Council required us to cost the in-kind contributions so that you get a perspective on this.
So most in-kind contribution is volunteer hours, and they asked us to cost it at living wage. So it's, for the last phase, it was $6,000 that we worked out it would cost. So that's very similar to what's happening in kind. It's all volunteer hours, essentially. While the application is, it's enhancing the biodiversity by planting, but obviously the plants attract birds, insects and the like. But the emphasis is on the biodiversity. Having said that, and it's an admission on my part, it contributes to people's well-being. In the sense, there's reasonable evidence now to suggest that people are exposed to nature, enjoying the environment, that's good for their mental health, that enhances their mental health. And certainly, I don't know how strong that is, so it's an association. I don't know how strong it is, but certainly when we're planting, we get lots of positive comments from the public who are riding along about the good work we're doing. I think that's all I have to say. John, answer questions?
Maybe in terms of, oh, sorry, Lyle. Just in terms of the sort of riparian function, I haven't looked at the maps yet, but just in terms of water quality and the extent of what you've done, is there any comments around that? Or
so it is essentially focused on the riparian aspect of it. So at Granville Creek, there's a creek that runs occasionally. Well, soon will start running until spring, well into spring. So it's round the borders of that. At Urquhart Bay, there's a farm immediately adjacent to that. There's runoff from that, so it does that. And Rowley Bay, they're all on the lake edge, right on the edge. So at Rowley Bay, it's right on the edge, and there's farmland above that. But I wouldn't overemphasize the riparian aspect of it, but it's riparian focused in that it's right beside the water or beside a waterway.
Mate, John, I don't know, I missed it, but I don't know where you source your plants from. Do you have any relationship with the Takakana?
Yes, so we in the main we get in most of the plants from Takakana, but my partner and I propagate quite a few as well. But largely Takakana, partly because we haven't got the infrastructure to do that, and they're locally sourced. So we want to only plant plants that we know are going to have a good chance of survival.
Just once again, thanks for your work, and we know the amount of work you've put on into that area over the last few years is extraordinary, and I know your commitment to that's been enormous.
Thank you.
Okay, John. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Schedule, so stretch out. You're like how they're called prime timers.
It's you, right?
It's all right, they are.
That's so Ginny,
Yes.
are you up for starting a little bit early? Brilliant. So I won't need to get comfortable on that seat. Come sit in this one here, please.
Done anything like this before, so.
Oh, well, don't worry, we don't bite. We're a friendly bunch.
Thank you. So to sit?
You can sit, yeah, we can stand. 10 minutes.
10. Okay.
Yeah, I know you've been told 5, but we'll ask some questions afterwards.
That's
if you
great.
finish within the 10.
Okay.
That's all good. We've just had one councillor run off.
She's just in the kitchen.
Okay, I can wait.
Yes.
Yes, I haven't done anything like this before, so you'll have to excuse my nerves. I've prepared something fairly formal, but I'm able to answer questions and speak more informally as it's
Just
needed.
read what you've done and then just ask some questions from there.
Okay,
The easiest way. I'm sure Esther will be with us in a sec.
Okay. Are you seeing a few applicants this morning?
You've got a nice one.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
11, Forgive us our faces, it's serious and it's not how we emotionally
This
feel.
is just a poker face.
Just poker
Face.
Imagine it's such an
Listening
intimidating
and
thing
thinking.
with a round thing, yeah. There's no way we can sit.
We
and
lost
at
it.
least-
Presumably she's
You might be in
at
the
the
back.
restaurant, so she'll be back. Yeah, the next minute.
Yes, I'm gonna make it more cheery.
Yeah.
I'll always silly hats and be serious faces, but then just take
They could go the other way.
yeah.
We like the name Prime Timers.
Yes,
Yeah, we thought that was a pretty good name.
it is a great name. I can't take credit for it. It was there when I arrived, but it's a lot more fun than the Upper Clutha Senior Citizens, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't wait to join.
Well,
Of course,
this is
I'm
the
20 or
thing.
30 years away.
Yeah, we're all gonna get there though, so
I
that's
know.
what's so
Yeah, that's
important.
all of us.
Yeah.
It's still fun and being in Davyfield House.
No, why not?
Conflict with everybody.
Completely.
Okay, we're back to a full house, Jenny.
Okay, great.
Away you go.
Okay, thank you. Hi everyone, my name is Penny Armstrong and I'm here to share some insight into the Upper Clutha Senior Citizens, also known as Prime Timers, who has applied for $6,820 from your QLDC Community Fund. Claire Dooney has made the application, but she's currently overseas, so she's asked me to come in and speak to the group on her behalf this morning. I began some work for Prime Timers back in, not that long ago actually, 2022. I stepped in to help with administration, accounts and funding applications. I also decided to go along to a lot of the monthly meetings. They're held at Wanaka's Presbyterian Church, where I met with members, lent a hand, shared a cuppa, and I listened to guest speakers as well. Over the past 3 years, I've gotten to know the members fairly well, and I've worked closely with the committee and with Helen, who's our current activities coordinator. She's been in the role for about 12 years, so quite some time. And I think she would say that she is a prime timer herself. She's, I think, almost in her mid-70s, but has a lot of energy and can relate very well to the group. Primarily, Prime Timers provides regular social and recreational opportunities for older people to connect, form friendships and feel supported in their hometown. Personally, I've enjoyed my involvement so much and I've found it really rewarding. I see the impact this group has on its members, also the impact on our guest speakers and for people like me who either work or volunteer for Prime Timers as it's needed. It's a special group and I can only see it as providing a positive and really valuable community connection that has history as well. I was really surprised to hear that the Upper Clutha Senior Citizens had its inaugural meeting on the 30th of May 1980. So that's quite some time ago and the group's still going strong, and I think it's something that our community can be really proud of. And I don't think it gets a lot of airtime or recognition as well. It just quietly goes about its business. Each year between February and November, Prime Timers provides an opportunity for its members to get together 2 times a month. Once for its meetings, where there is always a speaker or a type of entertainer who presents to the group. We get to hear from all sorts of people, ranging from the head students at Mount Aspiring College to experts in their field, such as John Darby, who's our local grade champion. Our approach is consistent, it's welcoming, and it's locally grounded in connection. Often our speakers are senior citizens themselves, so they get to enjoy afternoon tea at the end of their talk and enjoy a moment to mix and mingle and be social themselves. And I feel some of them also come away with new friendships and also new outreach connections as well if they're working with the community. A volunteer and members contribute to the setting up, the serving of afternoon tea and the tidying up as well. That keeps everyone engaged and contributing. We've also been known in the past to speed date for volunteers in the hope of gaining some more as well. Over the years, we've also had speakers who represent services in the district that are available to our members, whether they be from the local library, aged care providers, or representing the Reconnecting Seniors Network. Our speakers inform our members, and we see prime timers as an important way for the community to connect with this demographic. The collaboration offers education and practical advice, which we think is really valuable. The second get-together each month is an outing in the local district. This generally involves the hiring of a yellow bus, a bus charter, a group lunch, and a trip somewhere that's interesting with friends. The Arrowtown Autumn Festival is an annual favourite for our members, and recent trips have gone as far afield as Glenorchy and Omarama. Although they were quite big days, we don't tend to normally go quite that far. Most of the outings provide an opportunity for people to enjoy new venues and activities in the district that they may not ordinarily get to do themselves, or with company that our members may not drive, and this gets them out of the house and not feeling so isolated. Thanks to funding, our outings are subsidised, so they're really affordable as well. Our group pays $5 each time to get on the bus. That price has remained the same for years, and then they just pay for the cost of their own lunch. The regularity of the meetings and outings remain the same, and so for 12 years or close to this, our activities coordinator has worked really hard to ensure that each month Prime Timers is available for the community. Currently, our membership remains steady. Due to the challenges seniors face, sometimes we lose members, but we gain new ones too. As our community of seniors is growing, we see Prime Timers as being an important group that suits the social needs of those who enjoy a regular catch-up without the high cost and overcommitment as well. We're always there if we need it. Our fund application is to support the wages of our activities coordinator. This role requires great communication skills, a real enthusiasm and empathy for senior citizens, and care for their well-being. The activities coordinator is constantly working quietly within the community to promote Prime Timers and to seek new opportunities for outings and new guest speakers. As it's important to the overall function of our group, we need to ensure that we can pay this person for their contribution made. As the interest and engagement is there, sustaining this role is really critical to managing our initiative moving forward, and in the hope that it stays really inclusive and enriching. We aim to deliver high quality community-led programming that evolves with members' interests. As Claire has said, while the format is simple, we feel it has a significant impact, and this can be extended into the future. Prime Timers creates a social anchor, it maintains well-being, and it supports ageing through consistency, fun and connection. So we'd appreciate your support. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen to me today.
Question?
Well.
How many members do you have?
Currently it's about 65.
And do they pay an annual fee as well? Or?
They do. We ask for a contribution of $20 per person, so we find that's really low cost. Most of our members pay, but it's not hard and fast. They're very happy to come along at the beginning of the year and make a $20 contribution. At our monthly meetings, we also ask for a gold coin donation. We provide slice, and one of our members makes sandwiches. So they do or they don't. It's up to them. We don't monitor that. We just accept what's given gratefully and thank it.
What's your youngest and oldest member?
Well, we say members are welcome from 65 up, but to be honest, I think it's probably more 75 and up. Yeah, we would love for the age for more younger senior citizens to come along. But I think a lot of it's to do with mindset.
denying.
Yeah.
Older.
I think, I don't know, it's hard to say, it's difficult to have a conversation about that sometimes. It's just when people feel ready, they're welcome, yeah.
You've got time for one more? No? Well done, Jenny. We weren't that scary, were we?
No.
Oh. Thanks for your time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You have to go work.